Meet me in St. Louis seemed to be a fitting phrase during the 2005 NCAA men's basketball tournament. St. Louis, Missouri, the final destination on the 2005 road to the Final Four, and the magnificent Gateway Arch overlooking the Mississippi River proved to be the perfect gateway to a national championship for the North Carolina Tar Heels.
5 seconds. Illinois has to get off the shot. Rebound Carolina with 1 second, and that is it. There is a new dean in college basketball. North Carolina takes the title.
The 75-70 victory over the University of Illinois gave UNC its 4th national title. And for Coach Roy Williams, it was his first ever victory in a national championship game. So close so many times during his illustrious career, Williams finally broke through, leading the Tar Heels to a national championship, only 2 years after coming to his alma mater after a spectacular career at Kansas University. It was junior Sean May who led the way during the Tar Heels' championship run as the workhorse center carried his teammates into history. The Final Four's most outstanding player missed only 1 shot in the final game en route to a 26-point performance on college basketball's biggest stage. The Tar Heels served notice that the Carolina basketball program was back and quite possibly better than ever. Welcome to the 2005 NCAA Men's College Basketball Tournament. Welcome to the March to the Arch. The 2005 road to the Final Four at the Edward Jones Dome in St. Louis was known as the March to the Arch. It proved to be anything but. It was more like a frenetic sprint, a 2-week basketball odyssey complete with 65 dreams, a bunch of heroes, a couple of Cinderellas, and what you wound up with was more great games and fantastic finishes than any tournament in recent memory. The madness of March indeed. The Illinois Fighting Illini were named the tournament's overall #1 seed, which was no surprise. It had been a magical year for the Big Ten champions, but tragedy struck during the Big Ten tournament as Coach Bruce Weber's mother, Dawn, unexpectedly passed away. Coach Weber and his team decided to carry on at the wishes of his family and dedicated the rest of the season to the memory of his mother. In one of the first games of the Chicago Regional, the always interesting 12 versus 5 seed matchup provided the first upset of this year's tournament.
We're prepared. We worked all year long to put ourselves in this position. Together, let's get this sucker. Bring me here.
Wisconsin-Milwaukee's Bruce Pearl had his underdog Panthers fired up early to battle Alabama. The Horizon League champs came into the tournament having won 10 straight and 18 out of 19. And Bruce Pearl's talented upperclassmen jumped all over Bama early and had a 15-point lead at the 10-minute mark of the first half. And the swarming Panther defense kept the favored Crimson Tide on their heels, forcing 19 turnovers.
Intercepted. Davis. He will glide in for the jam. For the this entire basketball game.
Bama could get no closer than 6 the rest of the way, and UW-Milwaukee became the first team of the tournament to wear the Cinderella slipper as they celebrated the Midwest school's biggest basketball win ever. On paper, the Syracuse-Vermont matchup seemed to be a mismatch. The Syracuse Orangemen and coach Jim Boeheim, the 4 seed in the Austin Regional, were 2 years removed from a national title. Across the court, the Vermont Catamounts, champions of the America East Conference, and not a single NCAA tournament win to their credit in history. The Big East tournament champions knew they would be in for a battle as the Catamounts slowed down the pace of the game, never allowing the Orange to make a run. America East Conference Player of the Year Taylor Coppenrath served notice in the second half, and this bucket pulled the Catamounts to within 1 and set the tone for the rest of the game. Senior Hakeem Warwick had his moments, but Vermont limited his touches, and he wasn't a factor in the first half. But Warwick's tip-in gave the Orange a 2-point lead with just over a minute to play, and Coach Boeheim could only hope his battle-tested squad could pull this one out and advance to the second round. But it was Vermont's shortest player who came up big. Senior TJ Sorrentine's late 3-point barrage helped tie the game. Vermont didn't fold in the extra session.
Once again, comes down to fundamentals. Oh, my goodness! Sorrentine hit that one from the parking lot, and Vermont has a 59-55 lead.
Syracuse had one last chance, but Jerry McNamara's late 3 to tie the game missed.
They throw it in the front court. It's caught. Upset City!
And the 13th seeded Catamounts and their retiring coach Tom Brennan shocked the nation with the 60-57 overtime win. The dream season for Vermont continued. The upset of the first round came in Oklahoma City in the most unlikely of matchups. The Syracuse Regional's number 3 seed, the Kansas Jayhawks, who hadn't lost a first-round game in 27 years, squared off against Bucknell, the Bison, having never won an NCAA tournament game.
We've had respect for our opponent, and we have respect for Kansas tonight. And we have respect them, period. Let's go get them.
But Coach Pat Flannery had the Patriot League champions believing they could accomplish the impossible. The Jayhawks were hyped and ready, but were a vulnerable squad heading into the tournament as Bill Self's team lost 5 of its last 8 down the stretch. The Bison opened their scoring with a 4-point play from guard Kevin Betancourt, which calmed any pregame nerves of the underdog team from Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. They stretched the lead to as many as 7 in the first half. But Wayne Simeon, the outstanding senior forward for Kansas, wouldn't go down without a fight and led a 10-0 run for the Jayhawks to close out the half to lead by 3. In the second half, Bucknell never let the Jayhawks control the tempo, and the Bison took their first lead of the second half at 39-37. With under 15 minutes to play, it was Simeon again who lived up to his All-America billing and battled back time and time again. Even though Kansas went without a field goal the final 9 minutes of the game, they still had a chance to win it with one last shot.
Pass down into the paint. Simeon, 1 second, fade away. It's no good. The putback, it's no good. Bucknell has beat Kansas.
It was an historic win for Bucknell and the Patriot League, which had been winless in 13 first-round NCAA appearances. In many minds, it was one of the biggest upsets in the history of the entire NCAA tournament. The second round of the tournament was supposed to test the top seeds for the first time in the tournament, but each of the number 1 seeds dispatched their second round opponents with relative ease. Washington handled Pacific by 18. Illinois walked all over Nevada by 12. Duke dismantled Mississippi State by 8. And the North Carolina Tar Heels absolutely smashed Iowa State 92-65. But the easy advances were not the norm for the rest of round 2, as the upsets continued and March Madness began to heat up. Bobby Knight had not been to a Sweet 16 in 11 years, and his chances did not look promising as his Texas Tech Red Raiders were taking on the 3 seed from Gonzaga University. The Zags had serious NCAA cred, as they had been to the Sweet 16 3 times in the last 6 years. The Zags, who had the nation's longest current winning streak at 13, started sluggishly, and the Red Raiders jumped off to a 12-point lead early in the first half. But sophomore forward Adam Morrison answered the call, and he engineered a 10-0 run, getting the West Coast Conference champs back in the game. Senior center Ronnie Turiaf scored at the end of the first half to give the Zags a comfortable 9-point advantage at 38-29. The Red Raiders' outstanding defense and patient offense helped cut the lead at the beginning of the second half. And they made it all the way back on this basket by sophomore Daryl Dora, staking Tech to a 55-54 lead with 10 minutes to play. It was Morrison and Turiaf again who stepped up their games when it was needed most, and the two scored 13 straight for the Zags during crunch time. But this game belonged to Texas Tech senior guard Ronald Ross, a walk-on 4 years ago who had become this season one of the Big 12's top guards.
Dora to Zeno, and for the lead from Ross.
Ross then added 2 free throws to extend the lead to 4, and that proved to be enough as the Texas Tech Red Raiders, the 6th seed in the Albuquerque Regional, defeated the 3rd-seeded Gonzaga Bulldogs 71-69. The defending champions, the UConn Huskies, were looking for repeat NCAA titles for the first time since Duke back in the early 90s. But an underrated and hungry North Carolina State Wolfpack team stood in their way of advancing to the Sweet 16. NC State, the 10 seed in the Syracuse Regional, handled Charlotte in round 1 behind All-America guard Julius Hodge and were brimming with confidence and primed for an upset. Early on, it was NC State's deliberate offense which thwarted the Huskies from running their up-tempo game. But UConn was still able to score successfully, using sophomores Charlie Villanueva and Marcus Williams as their go-to guys.
Marcus Williams rises and knocks down his first shot.
NC State's Julius Hodge had only 1 field goal at the half, but his teammates picked up the scoring slack and kept the Wolfpack within 4 heading into halftime.
Fast to handle by guard Julius Hodge. He doesn't get any help. Again.
Julius Hodge then returned to his All-America form, giving NC State a 5-point lead with over 11 minutes to play. Cameron Bitterman's 3-pointer at the 5-minute mark gave the 10th-seeded Wolfpack an 11-point lead. The defending champions wouldn't fold and went on a 17-6 run in the next 4 minutes to tie the game at 62 with 30 seconds to play. The UConn bench was feeling it. But the experienced senior Hodge would have the final say in this game. His ensuing free throw all but put away the defending champions.
In the second half, here's Williams. He's got to hurry. Behind the back, let's it go!
NC State had locked up the 65-62 victory.
This was all about experience, guys. It's about NC State being able to come from behind.
After advancing to the Big East Conference title a week earlier, Coach John Beilein and the West Virginia Mountaineers were one of the nation's hottest teams. And junior Mike Gansey was more than ready to take on the powerful Wake Forest Demon Deacons, the 2 seed in the Albuquerque Regional. The game will go down as one of the all-time tournament classics as these 2 teams staged an epic battle. Wake got off to a torrid start, jumping all over West Virginia. This 3 by junior Justin Gray put the Demon Deacons up 13 as the first half came to a close. West Virginia erupted with a 50-point second half, erasing the Demon Deacons' lead and taking control of the game.
The senior drains off the rim. It's a one-possession game, 17 seconds left. Gray over to Downey for the tie. Yes!
That can happen as an overtime for them.
Collins driving, bench.
West Virginia had time to set up a final shot, but they couldn't convert, and the 2 teams were headed to overtime. The first overtime saw West Virginia junior Mike Gansey take over the game, scoring 10 points to give the Mountaineers the advantage. But just as Wake did in regulation, they hung tough, and this bucket by All-America guard Chris Paul, combined with yet another 3 by Downey, knotted the game at 93, much to the dismay of the West Virginia bench. The Mountaineers again had another chance to win the game with a final shot, but they couldn't convert, and the game was now headed to double overtime.
Remember, Fisher was a release. Here comes the screen.
Gansey driving in. Count the leader and the foul.
The junior scored 7 straight points, delighting his hometown crowd in Cleveland, where he grew up. This time around, Wake Forest ran out of gas down the stretch and couldn't make another comeback run.
3 seconds. Long 3 choice. It rims out, and that's it. West Virginia makes it beeline to the Sweet 16. 111 to 105. They upset number 2 seed Wake Forest, and it took 2 overtimes to do it.
The right to face the number 1 seeded Fighting Illini of Illinois was on the line in this Chicago Regional second-round matchup between Wisconsin-Milwaukee and Boston College. The 12th seeded Panthers from the Horizon League were hoping to hold on to the Cinderella slipper for another day. BC started the season with 20 straight wins, but limped into the postseason. Their impressive first-round blowout of Penn had the Eagles heading in the right direction, and it showed early. BC fired the first 11 points of the game and were threatening to run the Panthers out of the Wolstein Center at Cleveland State University. But Wisconsin-Milwaukee coach Bruce Pearl calmed his troops down and focused their attention on wearing down the bigger, stronger Eagles with their relentless defense and patient offensive sets. Pearl's game plan worked as the Panthers came roaring back to take a 4-point lead at halftime. The underdogs out of the Horizon League opened up the lead to 7. But BC still had some fight left in them and fought their way back to take a 3-point lead with under 2 minutes to play. But it was UW-Milwaukee's chaotic defense that forced this late turnover when the game was on the line. The layup by junior Adrian Tigert gave the Panthers the lead, and they went on to score the game's final 7 points from the free throw line to seal the victory and on to the Sweet 16. Given little chance in the opening round against Alabama from the SEC or against Boston College, the Big East regular season champions, Milwaukee gave the nation's mid-major programs another moment to savor this March with an 83-75 win, and Cinderella lives on. The victory celebration for UW-Milwaukee was short-lived as a Sweet 16 date with the tournament's number 1 seed loomed large on the horizon.
Here's the deal. No team in the history of this great tournament has ever done what we're about to do. Nobody. It's the American dream. This is a great country we live in. The fact that Wisconsin-Milwaukee is one of 16 teams playing for the national championship, we talk about making history. This is the chance to make history. Accept the challenge and relish the opportunity. Go low, Big D, good.
I remember telling my roommate that we were going to go to the Sweet 16. Maybe at the time it was wishful thinking, but I believed it.
Most of us started with very little, but worked and persevered and believed that we could be something someday. And these kids are doing it. All right, good.
So we beat Alabama, we beat BC, we're going to Sweet 16, and we'll be getting a lot of attention real soon.
I think we can. I think we can.
We have to come together, and play our game, do what we've been doing the last 2 games, raise the level we've been playing.
You think you can get that call against Roger Powell, son? I think the biggest thing about this season is we just don't want it to end. We like working, we like preparing. Back into this guy. I'm asking you to play like it's a game situation right now. The red team, scout team, you're doing a terrific job. We have a hard time guarding you guys, we have a harder time guarding Illinois. I'll tell you, no one is bad when your scout team kicks your butt in practice running their stuff. I imagine Illinois runs it better than the scout team is going to run it. This is our hotel. We even have our own banner. Boy, do you think they had to print that banner up just in a hurry? I guess they had a BC banner, they had an Alabama banner, they had to just hurry up and let's get a Wisconsin-Milwaukee banner last minute.
It has the fixing to be overwhelming, but hopefully no one allows it to be. It wasn't last weekend. I don't see it being a problem this upcoming weekend.
We got about 15 guys in that locker room over there that think we have a chance to win tomorrow, and I'm not sure anybody else in the country does. If we don't outwork Illinois tomorrow, and I don't think any team has all year long, we can't beat them.
Kick it.
All our play calls are new and fresh. Our press is new and fresh. So, we're just really excited about that.
Our kids are tough, physically and mentally, and they believe in what we do. Illinois is just as tough. They play just as hard. And for guys to be as talented as they are, to play as hard and unselfishly as we've had to, as a mid-major to compete with the big boys, that makes this a daunting task. There's nobody in this country except the people right here in this room that give this basketball team a chance to win. It ain't about Cinderella anymore, fellas. It's about 16 teams playing for a national championship. Our university belongs here. Our coaches belong here. You guys belong here. Let's prove the rest of this country wrong. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
We have to raise our level of intensity. You hear a lot of people talking about the way we play, with the passion, the energy for 40 minutes and no pressure. And I think we have to raise that intensity and that passion even higher for the #1 team in the country.
It was a great start for the Panthers and took the lead by 4 on this Joa Tucker three-pointer. Luther Head and D. Brown hit back-to-back threes, giving the Illini their first lead of the game. From that point on, it seemed Bruce Pearl's team was playing catch-up, never getting closer than 4 in the first half. James Wright's layup cut the Illini lead to 7, and the Panther locker room had cause for optimism heading into the second half.
When we turn the ball over, it's going to be 1 million people cheering. Shut that up with 1 score, 1 stop, baby. The crowd going to get going. They all came to see them win.
We're so close. Now, as this sucker gets closer, the pressure goes on them. The pressure gets all on their shoulders. Gentlemen, stand up and be recognized. Stand up and be recognized. 20 minutes away. Yeah. Let's go. Let's go.
The nation's #1 team flexed its muscles to start the second half and rolled up a 14-point lead. The Horizon League champions were playing for pride now and scratched and clawed their way back to within 7 with 9 minutes remaining. But the guard play from Illinois was too tough, and D. Brown and Darren Williams showed why they are All-Americas, nailing jumpers down the stretch to end the Cinderella dreams of their neighbors to the north. The Illini moved on to the Elite Eight with a hard-fought 77-63 victory.
It ain't no good to lose, but hold your head up, man, and build on that.
Play with such passion and such poise. The accomplishments are too numerous to even begin to talk about. If we'd won that basketball game, we'd have been happier, but I couldn't be more proud of you. And you guys took us for a phenomenal ride. A ride the likes this university's never seen. Proud to be your coach. So let's keep our heads up. And for the last time in a while, let's bring them here.
Good job, Black.
Good job, man.
I love you niggas, man.
1, 2, 3, pass.
In Albuquerque, the surprise #1 seed from the Pac-10, the Washington Huskies, had more than lived up to their lofty seed, easily handling their first two opponents. But Coach Lorenzo Romar knew they would have to play their best game so far to advance past Rick Pitino and his fourth-seeded Louisville Cardinals, a team that has won over 30 games for the season and has lost only once since January. After falling behind in the early stages, Louisville pounced on the Huskies behind back-to-back threes from All-America Francisco Garcia, the Cardinals opening a 12-point halftime lead. In the second half, the Cardinals kept pouring it on, penetrating the Washington defense at will.
Quick release.
Louisville's 93-79 victory not only knocked out the tournament's first #1 seed,
Bannon of the basket and flushes
but positioned Rick Pitino's Cardinals to make their first Final Four appearance since 1986. The second semifinal of the Chicago Regional paired up two coaches from the prestigious 700-win club, Lute Olson and the #3 seeded Arizona Wildcats, and Eddie Sutton of the #2 seeded Oklahoma State Cowboys. This was an up-tempo game right from the tip-off as the game's two featured guards, Arizona's Salim Stoudemire and Oklahoma State's John Lucas, traded threes on the game's first two possessions. The nip-and-tuck first half saw a lot of back and forth, and Oklahoma State led the game by 3 at the break. The second half was much of the same, but it was the forwards who did most of the scoring. Arizona junior Hassan Adams scored 9 of his 19 in the second half.
That is pretty.
From a variety of positions on the court. Oklahoma State's Joey Graham took over the Cowboy offense, and the versatile senior gave the Wildcats fits on the defensive end. There were 10 lead changes as these two teams battled down the stretch.
State will be double bonus time for Arizona. Stoudemire, left-handed, moving.
Trailing by 1, Stoudemire wanted the ball down the stretch.
Ball into the backboard. And here it comes, pick and roll with the five. He pulls up.
John Lucas had a chance to win it, but his three-pointer from the corner bounced off the rim, and Arizona won the game 79-78 to advance to play Illinois in the regional final.
Great coaches meet at center court. Eddie Sutton has coached this last game. His son, Sean Sutton, will take over next year. A tough way to go home.
The Duke-Michigan State matchup in the Austin semifinal proved to be a great matchup between two of the outstanding programs and coaches of this generation. Both Mike Krzyzewski and Tom Izzo know what it's like to get to the Final Four and to win an NCAA title.
Brown back out high, no one there. Oh, good play by Reddick.
It was an evenly played game after 20 minutes.
Follow-up, Melchione.
With the teams tied at 32. But it was apparent that the depth and strength of Michigan State gave them the edge heading into the second half. The Spartans, led by senior center Paul Davis, had out-rebounded the number 1 seeded Blue Devils by a decisive margin in the first half. And they repeatedly bottled up Duke's outstanding All-America guard, J.J. Redick, holding him to only 5 points on 2 of 6 shooting. The MSU defense forced Duke into an uncharacteristic 22 turnovers.
And the ball is thrown away. No one there except Coach K.
Redick found his touch late in the game, burying this 3 to trim the lead to 4. It appeared that Duke had cut the lead to 2 with 6 minutes left on this Sheldon Williams dunk off of a rebound. But the ball spun and never dropped all the way through the net when Williams grabbed the rim. The officials ruled it offensive interference and disallowed the basket. It was that kind of night for the Dukies. And the 5th-seeded Spartans upset the number 1 seeded Blue Devils 78-68. The regional final in Syracuse between North Carolina and Wisconsin was to be a battle of 2 teams with very contrasting styles. The top-seeded UNC Tar Heels like to push the ball up the court on every possession, while the 6th-seeded Wisconsin Badgers epitomize Big Ten basketball, physical and methodical. Wisconsin coach Bo Ryan surprised everyone, including the Tar Heels, as the Badgers never once tried to slow the pace of the game. The teams combined for 88 first-half points and were knotted at 44.
Off the glass. What a great turnaround.
Junior Sean May was unstoppable in the post all game long, and he led all scorers with a game-high 29 to go along with 12 rebounds. For Wisconsin, it was an unlikely hero stepping up to the forefront. Former walk-on Clayton Hansen nailed consecutive 3-pointers to pull the Badgers within 1. But May and junior Rashad McCants were too tough in the game's final few minutes, and McCants' 3-pointer catapulted the Tar Heels to their first Final Four in 5 years with an 88-82 victory.
Carolina by 6. They're bound for St. Louis.
I just want you to think about this. I want you to go out there with this idea that you're going to fight, right, like your back's to the wall. Because it is right now, right? Everybody's 18, lose or go home, right? But I want you to play like that's the way we like it. That's the way you've been playing since we got off the New Jersey Turnpike, right? After that 2-hour wait to go 1 mile. Your back has been against the wall, and I think you like it, right? And I know you like it, and that's how you got to play. Play with the swagger, play with the confidence, play with that same idea that has got you to right where you are today. Louisville, Coach Pitino, they're a great team. They got all that stuff. We respect them. The more you respect the team, the more you go after them, right? We're West Virginia, man. We prove we can play anybody in the country. We're going to do that tonight.
It has been 46 years since West Virginia has gone to a Final Four, and the 7th-seeded Mountaineers are the highest-seeded team left in the march to the Arch. Louisville, on the other hand, has waited almost 20 years for another shot at the Final Four, and Rick Pitino had no idea that his team was about to get run out of the gym in the first 20 minutes.
To shoot. Beeline takes it from deep. Oh! Beeline, quick release. Off the glass!
In the first half alone, West Virginia nailed 10 3-pointers, and Louisville was pit-snockled, to say the least. The Mountaineers led by as many as 20 in the first half, but Louisville was resilient and trimmed the lead to 13 as the teams headed to the locker room at halftime. Rick Pitino, who was looking to take his unprecedented 3rd different program to the Final Four, instructed his players to scrap their zone defense and start trapping and pressing. The Conference USA champs responded and began to chip away at the big lead. Taekwon Dean, who battled cramps the entire game, played one of the grittiest games of his career and led the Louisville charge.
Taekwon Dean looks at the clock on the baseline. No! Pitch knock on the rebound, and we're going to overtime. Holy mackerel!
In OT, the Cardinals finally wore down the Mountaineers, whose red-hot shooting began to taper off. And this 3 by Taekwon Dean gave Louisville a 4-point lead, and they never looked back. en route to a 93-85 overtime victory. It was a great run by the 7th-seeded Mountaineers, who shot 55% for the game and made 18 threes, but still came up short.
Louisville somehow, someway manages to come back after being down by 20 and defeat West Virginia 93-85.
And Rick Pitino is now headed to St. Louis, making history with a third different program. It has been a storybook season for the #1 seeded Fighting Illini, and they can complete the literal road to the Final Four with a victory over 3rd-seeded Arizona. The Illini had to travel only by bus for their games in the tournament, and with a win, will keep that bus moving all the way to St. Louis. For Arizona, the hostile environment in suburban Chicago seemed to invigorate them, and the Wildcats were firing on all cylinders in the second half as they expanded to a double-digit lead with under 6 minutes to play. The Illini seemed to buckle for a moment under the pressure, and it looked as though their dream season was about to end as they fell behind 75-60 with just over 4 minutes to play.
Stoudemire hits the three.
Then what happened was as miraculous a comeback as the NCAA tournament has ever seen.
11 to go. Williams takes it all the way to the easy two. Stoudemire trying to keep the ball because, they don't call the foul, and D. Brown gets two. Oh, my. Ingram to bat the ball away. Williams could tie it with a three. He goes!
After Arizona's Hassan Adams missed a jumper at the buzzer, Illinois went back to the huddle, feeling as if it was their game to win. In overtime, the Illini played with the confidence that matched their #1 ranking.
Luther head.
Hassan Adams brought the Wildcats within 1 with 5 unanswered points. And after an Illinois miss, it was Arizona in position to come back and win.
Finally forced to shoot, and the ball game is over. Illinois in overtime advances to the Final Four.
The improbable Illinois victory put the Big Ten champions in the Final Four for the first time since 1989, and the days of the Flying Illini. The Austin Regional Final between #2 seed Kentucky and the 5th-seeded Michigan State Spartans was one of the wildest games in the history of the tournament. Trailing by 8 late in the second half, Kentucky went on a patented Wildcat run and closed to within 1 on a 3 by Kalina Azubuike.
Azubuike quiet for so long, and it's a 3. It's down to 1.
Michigan State's Shannon Brown knocked down 2 free throws, and then Kentucky coach Tubby Smith and the rest of the country watched what was the most unpredictable 20 seconds of the tournament.
Sparks over Trannon, got a hand on it underneath Azubuike. Back out quick. Azubuike short, out to Sparks. One last chance. In and yes! Can you believe it? Sparks has sent the game to overtime at the buzzer.
Unbelievable. A young man who just missed a foul shot that hung on the rim for, it felt like 5 seconds. Another overtime in a regional final. Unbelievable.
And the 3 by Patrick Sparks was ruled good by less than an inch. Overtime we go. In the extra session, Kentucky, buoyed by the great comeback in regulation, jumped out early.
Move, and he got the 2.
But MSU's Shannon Brown, who led all scorers with 24, answered with a 3 of his own. Neither team could shake the other, and they headed to a second overtime.
Rondo, Hill defending. Rondo, and that's a clean block.
Kentucky went cold from the outside, and Michigan State won the game from the free throw line, hitting 11 straight to close out the game, winning 94-88 in double overtime. After knocking out Duke and Kentucky over the weekend, Michigan State next plays North Carolina, giving the Spartans the rare chance to steamroll three of the most prestigious programs in the land. This was a breathtaking finish to perhaps what was the most astonishing regional finals the NCAA tournament has ever seen. 3 overtime games, unbelievable comebacks, and now the Final Four is all set. It has been 27 years since the Final Four made its way through the Gateway Arch, and the city of St. Louis could not have been more prepared as thousands of fans descended into town for Final Four weekend. The Edward Jones Dome would host its first Final Four, and with a seating capacity of nearly 50,000 for basketball. The Illinois Fighting Illini, champions of the Chicago Regional, were still pinching themselves after the incredible comeback in the regional final against Arizona. The Big Ten champions had won a school record 36 games, but had never won a national championship. In 4 previous trips to a Final Four, the Fighting Illini had never made it past the semifinal.
It's just something you dream of, and you hope it's going to happen, and it's finally here. You just got to make the most of the opportunity now.
It would be up to their remarkable guard trifecta of D. Brown, Darren Williams, and Luther Head to lead them past Louisville and into the finals Monday night. It has been 19 years since the Louisville Cardinals, the champions of the Albuquerque Regional, have been to the Final Four, and coming in as the underdog suits them just fine. Coach Rick Pitino is no stranger to the Final Four, as his Cardinal team is the unprecedented 3rd program he has taken to a Final Four. Michigan State, champions of the Austin Regional, had to knock off Duke and Kentucky in succession just to get a shot at North Carolina. For Tom Izzo, this is his 4th Final Four in the last 6 years, including winning a national championship in 2000 with Mateen Cleaves leading the way. This year's group is as talented and athletic as any of the teams in St. Louis. Sophomore guard Shannon Brown will have to continue his stellar play for the Spartans to make it past North Carolina.
They have a tendency where they have an opportunity to be in all cylinders. This is one of the more talented teams I've seen in years.
Roy Williams has never won an NCAA title after 4 previous trips to the Final Four at Kansas. This, however, could prove to be his best chance. The champions of the Syracuse Regional had perhaps the easiest road to the Final Four, and the Tar Heels are loaded from top to bottom. Sean May will prove to be the difference if North Carolina is to win the national championship, as there isn't a player in the tournament more capable of dominating the game.
And we are very talented, but talent doesn't always win. And for us, we have to bring that passion and that energy. You know, at the Final Four, everybody's here for a reason.
As the sun sets at the Edward Jones Dome the night before Final Four Saturday, the dreams of a national championship will be fresh in the minds of all the players, coaches, and fans.
Hey, man, Georgia Tech all over again.
Let's go, man. Let's go.
Let's go, baby.
We head now. Let's take care of it. 1, 3, 1, heartbeat. 1, 2, 3. Heartbeat.
Let's go, baby. Yeah. We won. Let's go. Let's go right here, baby.
The first national semifinal pitted the 36-1 Illinois Fighting Illini, the consensus #1 team in the country most of the season, against the 33-4 Louisville Cardinals.
And Louisville will be in black with red and white trim. The flash bulbs are going off the tip.
Guard play was dominant from the opening tip as Illinois came out firing. Darren Williams stepped up and nailed his first 3-point attempt. And Luther Head followed with one of his own.
They've knocked down
first two shots.
In the middle, the big guys will get touches now, make passes.
Francisco Garcia seemed to get on track early with this layup.
Back door they go.
But his open looks would be few and far between the rest of the way as Darren Williams locked up the All-America guard, holding him to only 2 points in the first half. With Garcia getting most of the defensive attention, senior center Otis George put back this Garcia miss and was fouled in the act. Sophomore Brandon Jenkins also contributed off the bench with this three-pointer to bring the Cards to within 3 at 17-14. After going cold from the outside, Illinois found success in the post with some of its reserves. 7-footer Nick Smith made his presence felt with 4 points in the first half. Senior Jack Ingram also stepped up and nailed a 3 to give the Illini a 4-point lead nearing the half.
Top the key, a 3-point jump shot. Good!
Half is over, and Illinois leads it by 3.
Neither team shot very well from the floor in the first half, but Illinois' 6 3-pointers were the difference early on as the Illini led by 3, 31-28 at the intermission. Senior Larry O'Bannon got the Cards going at the beginning of the second half, scoring 5 straight points and staking Louisville to a 2-point lead. But as if there was some divine intervention, it was Roger Powell Jr., one of college basketball's only ordained ministers, who answered his calling. The 6'6 senior reeled off 9 unanswered points to push the Illini out in front.
Top the circle, no. Oh, got it and slammed for Illinois, uncovered and untouched.
How about that? Follow your own shot. Incredible. The Gamble set it up and then Powell right in. Look at it.
Senior Luther Head then made his first 4 3-point attempts in the second half as the Illini jumped out to a 13-point lead.
Example. Luther, he's hot, and he hits it.
And the Cardinals never recovered. Behind the 20 points by both Powell and Head, as well as the outstanding defense by Darren Williams, Illinois routed Louisville in the second half and closed with a 72-57 victory. The Illinois Fighting Illini remain number 1 as they tied the NCAA record for most wins in a season with 37.
They have conceded, the white flag has been waved, and Illinois will continue, and they will play the winner of North Carolina and Michigan State, capturing their 37th win of the season tonight.
What they gonna do? What they
The second semifinal promised to be entertaining, with some of the greatest athletes in college basketball on display. As North Carolina and Michigan State squared off, Tom Izzo and Roy Williams knew this would be a track meet.
And the jump goes to Michigan State.
And in the early stages, it was more like a slam dunk contest.
Tries alley-oop, and it's caught and jammed by McCann's flight 32. It's cleared for Landon, coming off that baseline.
Sean May's layup at the 10-minute mark gave UNC a 3-point lead. And then senior Jawad Williams banged home this 3 to extend the lead. Michigan State's Shannon Brown scored 10 of the Spartans' next 11, including back-to-back threes.
To the floor, it's Brown with the 3. Oh! He's a flamethrower!
And the Spartans go to the locker room with the lead.
Roy Williams could not have been pleased with his team's effort at the end of the first half, as they were outscored 18-8 by the Spartans. Whatever Williams said at the intermission must have worked, and like in the Illinois game, the second half belonged to the number 1 seed. Within 2 minutes, UNC had taken back the lead.
In their white with the Carolina blue. It's Felton with an alley-oop, caught by Williams and champ. Michigan State between the circles. Felton got a screen, top the key, a long-range 3. Bullseye.
This kid has some technique.
Within 6 minutes, the lead was 6. And within 10 minutes, the lead was 15, and Michigan State was reeling. And once the Tar Heels had the lead, it was jam the ball into the post and let Sean May tend to his business.
May, a different man in this second half.
The junior scored 14 in the second half and stopped Michigan State in their tracks every time they tried to make a run. It was an impressive balanced scoring attack for the Tar Heels, who had in their arsenal 4 players who scored over 15 points.
Down the lane, caught by Sean May. Layup is in. Foul on the play.
The second half was all Carolina, and the 87-71 final score sent a message to the Fighting Illini. North Carolina basketball was back.
As the flash bulbs go off, we've got the title game that many people expected. The number 1 overall seed, Illinois Fighting Illini, and the number 1 seed, North Carolina Tar Heels. It sets up our title game on Monday.
After 3 weeks and 63 games of March Madness, 2 teams are left standing in April, and the march to the Arch is almost complete. It's Illinois and North Carolina for the national championship. Once again, orange is the predominant color at the Edward Jones Dome in St. Louis. While the Carolina Blue contingency may be outnumbered, their confidence is at an all-time high.
Here we go! Be confident, believe, the training, man, let's do it.
Well, this is a national stage. It doesn't get any bigger than this.
It's our last game of the season, the national championship. Why wouldn't you step your game up to another level? At that point, you just give it all you got. Just leave it all out there, no matter what.
It's all down to this one, and D. Brown and Illinois will have first possession.
Tar Heel junior Rashad McCants got Carolina out in front early with 5 points in the first 2 minutes of the game. The Illini guards then asserted themselves as D. Brown continued his great play with a 3. And then the one-man fast break, as he's known, raced to the hoop to pull within a bucket.
Not going to stop him.
Senior Lutherhead stayed hot and sank this 3 to give Illinois the lead at 12-9.
May on the bench, McCants, jumper. Ball on the floor, and again it's Powell. But he gave it up to McCants.
It was only a matter of time until Sean May began to make his presence felt. It was 29 years earlier that Scott May, Sean's father, led the Indiana Hoosiers to the national title. The younger May has the feeling of winning a national championship in his blood.
Everyone has hopes and dreams of playing basketball for a long time, and if you want to play at that next level, you have to perform, and you have to perform when it matters. And there's no better chance to really go out and perform in the Final Four in the national championship game. And I knew for our team to win that I had to perform well.
Sean's just had an amazing year and just loaded up on the big fella's back and let him carry us.
North Carolina began to pull away late in the first half after freshman Marvin Williams slammed this home. But Illinois stayed hot from behind the arc, and Lutherhead was sizzling, cutting the 6-point lead in half. All tournament long, the Tar Heels relied upon their numerous weapons to take over a game. First, it was guard Raymond Felton with a 3.
Off the sideline.
Then Jawad Williams followed with a 3 of his own.
Jawad knocks it down, and Carolina has its largest lead of the title game.
Swings the left side for Williams. Baseline left to D. Brown.
May then makes a great defensive stop and runs the break. All 6'9" of him, and kicks to McCants for yet another 3.
Jump shot of 3. Good! Right between the eyes! McCants!
The 3-point lead swells to 13 as the Tar Heels head to the locker room up 40-27.
Do not get fat and happy. We ain't did nothing yet. We got 20 more minutes. Now we got to show some heart right here. Let's go, Evans.
At the start of the second half, one could have guessed what Bruce Weber and the Illini had in store for the partisan Illinois crowd. Another comeback.
Juan Williams over Powell, tough shot.
Sean May tried to open up the lead with 2 quick baskets. But the Fighting Illini would not be denied.
Dribble, takes it on the baseline, tries to reverse layup, and goes through the lane and lays it in.
Nice job by Powell, held off people, got him to the other side of the rim.
Dribbles right, he's in the circle, cross-court pass, head wide open, a 3, free throw line extended, good! And Illinois is alive and kicking. Brown, ball over his head, 2-handed pass to the sideline, caught by Williams, a 3, good! He knocks in another! It's a 4-point game!
We knew they were going to come back. We knew they were going to make their run. It's a championship game, you can't, just lay down for a team.
And at the 16-minute timeout, I said, hey, we're okay. That was just a 4-minute run.
We came too far. We're going to keep fighting, and we're going to get some stops on the defensive end, and that's how we're going to win this game.
But the run continued on, and this 3-pointer by Williams brought the Illini back to within 3.
We knew they were so effective from the 3-point line, we didn't want to give them open threes. And we wanted to make sure that we got the basketball inside to Sean May and tried to attack him from the inside out.
Sean May continued to shoulder the load, banging inside and going hard to the basket on each and every possession.
And here comes Powell beating May down the floor, as is Carter.
Roger Powell of Illinois found himself in the right place at the right time. The Illinois defense, which had been so tough all season, stepped up once again.
Felt off, the pass is bad. It's picked up by Darren Williams of Illinois. Down court for Brown. In the lane, the dribble drive, the layup is in.
The national championship hopes for Illinois were dealt a serious blow when center James Augustine was whistled for his 5th foul with just under 7 minutes to play.
And he's finished. Is this amazing?
With the score tied at 65, Carolina guard Raymond Felton drained it, giving the Tar Heels a 3-point lead. As they have done all season, Illinois wouldn't fold.
Sideline pass, chance to tie with the 3. Good! He took it in front of his bench, and he laces it home, and it's tied at 70. Big defensive D. Brown of Illinois. Now Felton of North Carolina back steps. He then killer toss removed from the wing. Marvin Williams.
I think so.
Marvin Williams of North Carolina tips it in. It's 72-70. 1:23 to play.
Now it was time for the Carolina defense to make the stop that would win them the national title.
That's what Coach Williams been talking to us about all year, denying passes, getting in the passing lane, and that's exactly what I did at that play. He basically threw the ball right into my arms.
What a great pick! And here comes North Carolina, and Felton by midcourt, and he has to foul. Does Darren Williams of Illinois. He has to foul North Carolina to stop the clock. 25.8 seconds to play.
Felton made 1 of 2 at the line, and Carolina held a 3-point lead with 20 seconds remaining. Bruce Weber looked for one more miracle to get the Illini back in it.
You cannot imagine the pressure and the Indian. Just exhausted.
I told our team, let's just play. You can't control what's already happened, but you can control the next possession. And let's just play each and every possession the best we can.
Clock is off. We're down to 22 seconds. Here comes Darren Williams. Backpedaling now by midcourt. He's on the sideline, caught by head for the tie on the right sideline, off the rim, no good. It's on top of the backboard. It's loose. It's picked up by Felton of North Carolina. Racing down the sideline. Stopped in midcourt and fouled by Williams. Just waving the pom-poms. Here's Felton again. Rolls the ball in his hands. Crouches, uncoils. Right-hand free throw good. It's 75-70. Carolina leads by 5.
As Sean May said, there's nothing he wants more than a championship for Coach Roy. I want 20 years from now, after he's won a number of them, to remember this group bringing him his first. He let Darren Williams drive, kick out. 5 seconds. Illinois has to get off the shot. Rebound Carolina with 1 second, and that is it. There is a new team in college basketball. North Carolina takes the title.
I've been in your shoes. I feel good. Congratulations. You're good for this game.
So close so many times before in his pursuit of a national title, the legendary coach did it. And the tears this time were tears of joy.
Saw Powell on the ground and just went over there and jumped on it.
I can only really think about my mother and her not being there. And just her wanting to be there to see me win a championship.
It was unreal. I was like, somebody come pinch me and tell me this is really happening.
The Illinois Fighting Illini were just that. A scrappy group of overachievers who took the nation by storm and fell just short of the national title. But this day in April belonged to May, Sean May, who rose to the occasion and helped his team win the national championship, just as his father did almost 3 decades ago. The Final Four's most outstanding player missed only one attempt in the final game en route to a 26-point performance on college basketball's biggest stage.
Well, this is a national stage. It doesn't get any bigger than this. It was a sigh of relief to finally, get that big one, that first championship.
I've always thought one of my dreams would be one shining moment with me standing there with my team. It was a great moment, to say the least.
I mean, it feels so good to bring that program back to where it's supposed to be, and I'm glad to be a part of that. Since day one, we stepped on Carolina campus. We always talked about this moment. We always thought that we was going to get to this point and we was going to win it. It's a dream come true because we succeeded at that.
So the biggest thing for us was trying to make sure we sold the right thing, and that was that North Carolina, the name on the front of the jersey, was more important than the name on the back. That if we did things as a team, if our team was successful, the individual awards would be there. And that's what we pushed.
It's gratifying to know that, when Coach retires from this game, he'll always be thankful of this 2005 team for bringing home his first national championship.
Congratulations to the North Carolina Tar Heels, NCAA men's basketball champions of 2005. The march to the arch is now complete.